reject you and your bastard, Marcus Ashford spit across the Silver Fang Assembly Hall. Arya Winters stood frozen, hand protecting the small swell beneath her dress. 300 wolves watched as he circled her. Damaged goods, he sneered. A whore carrying another man's pup. His beta laughed. The rejection ceremony ambushed her, no trial, just execution. Strip her of pack protection, Marcus commanded, turning to Vivienne with satisfaction. Out of my territory by nightfall. Arya's father looked away. Her mother wept in silence. No one defended the pregnant Omega who'd claimed Marcus as mate, already carrying unexplained shame. But Marcus Ashford didn't know one thing. The man in shadows wasn't just any alpha. I reject your rejection. King Thuron Blackthorn stepped into candlelight, his presence suffocating the hall. He crossed to Arya in 5 steps, knelt before her, spoke loud enough for every witness. I accept both. The mate bond exploded between them in visible gold threads. Marcus's face twisted in rage. But Arya's nightmare was just beginning, because the real monsters were still watching from the crowd. Real quick, if you've ever felt like damaged goods because of something that was done to you, not by you, this story is for you. Drop a comment, any comment, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so I know you're here. You're not alone. And Arya's about to prove that trauma survivors don't just deserve love, we're forged by fire. Okay, let's get straight into it. Arya's legs give out completely. King Thuron Blackthorn, the most powerful alpha in 7 territories. The male whose scent she still dreams about, whose touch she fled from like a coward 4 months ago. His hand catches her elbow before she hits the ground, steadying her while 300 wolves watch in suffocating silence. Heat radiates from his palm through the thin fabric of her dress, and the mate bond she'd tried so desperately to ignore roars to life between them. Gold threads she can actually see weaving through the air. Your Majesty, she whispers, her voice cracking. The child, it's not. I know. Thuron cuts her off gently, his silver eyes holding hers with an intensity that steals her breath. Those eyes, she'd seen them glow under moonlight, watched them crinkle when he laughed, felt them burning into her soul when the bond first snapped into place. I've known since I found you 3 weeks ago. The words punch through her chest. 3 weeks. He'd known where she was for 3 weeks and hadn't. The memory hits without warning. 4 months ago, the Royal Moon Festival sprawling across the palace grounds under a full moon so bright it turned night into silver day. She'd won the raffle, a nobody Omega from Clearwater pack suddenly holding a golden invitation to the event of the century. She remembers her hands shaking as she'd put on her only nice dress, remembers thinking she didn't belong. Then she'd seen him across the courtyard. King Thuron Blackthorn, 28 years old and commanding every space he occupied without trying. When his eyes found hers through the crowd, the world had stopped spinning. The mate bond snapped into place so violently she'd gasped, stumbling against a marble column while gold light exploded behind her eyelids. He'd crossed to her in 10 measured steps. Dance with me. Not a question, not a command, just certainty. They danced until her feet ached, talked until the other guests departed, walked through the royal gardens until dawn painted the sky pink and gold. She'd felt safe for the first time in her life, tucked against his shoulder on a stone bench while he pointed out constellations and asked about her dreams. She'd fallen asleep breathing in his scent, pine and winter storms and something uniquely him. When she woke, she was alone and bleeding. The panic had been immediate and visceral. Wrong. Something was desperately wrong. She'd stumbled to the festival's medical tent, let a nurse examine her with clinical efficiency. The news had shattered her, pregnant, 14 days along, conception 3 weeks before the festival. 3 weeks before she'd ever met Thuron. The memories were gone, just a blank space where something terrible had happened. She remembered walking through Clearwater Forest alone after a healing class. Then nothing. Then waking in dried blood with her clothes torn, unable to remember anything except pain and the smell of gunpowder and cedar. She'd run, not from Thuron, from the shame. A king deserved perfection, deserved a mate who came to him whole and untouched, not damaged goods carrying another male's child. She disappeared into neutral territories, changed her name, tried to build something new. until Marcus Ashford found her 6 weeks ago with his charming smile and carefully constructed lies. "Why didn't you tell me?" Arya's voice breaks in the present, dragging her back to the assembly hall and 300 watching wolves. "If you knew where I was." "Because you needed to feel safe first," Thuron says quietly, his thumb stroking her cheek with devastating gentleness. "I've been tracking the male who hurt you, building a case, gathering evidence." His jaw clenches, silver eyes flashing with barely contained rage. "But when I learned you'd gone to Silver Fang territory 3 weeks ago, when I realized Marcus was courting you," he stops, breathing hard. "I knew he was planning something. I just didn't know what until tonight." Marcus lunges forward, his face twisted with fury. "You can't be serious. She's carrying a bastard pup. You're a king. You could have any purebred daughter from any noble pack, and you're claiming some Omega whore who spread her legs for." Thuron's alpha command detonates through the hall like a shockwave. Every wolf drops to their knees, pack members, elders, even Marcus's beta. The pressure crushes down on 300 wolves simultaneously, forcing submission through sheer dominance. Only Arya remains standing, carefully shielded by Thuron's power like she's wrapped in invisible armor. "This child," Thuron says, his voice dropping to something ancient and lethal, "will be raised as crown princess or prince. They will be my heir, my blood, my legacy." His eyes sweep the kneeling crowd. "Any who question their legitimacy answers to me personally. Any who speaks against my mate or my child will be exiled from these territories permanently. Do I make myself clear?" Silence, absolute terrified silence. Thuron turns back to Arya, and his expression transforms from king to mate, from alpha to something achingly vulnerable. He drops to one knee before her, and the symbolism isn't lost on anyone. A king, kneeling for her. "Will you accept this bond?" he asks, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall. "Stand beside me as queen. Let me be the father your child deserves." Arya looks at Marcus's face, purple with rage. At Vivienne's shock and jealousy. At her parents in the crowd. Her father won't meet her eyes, her mother is weeping into her hands. At the elders who'd stripped her of pack protection 30 seconds ago. At 300 wolves who'd watched her humiliation without intervention. Then she looks at Thuron, at his steady silver gaze, at the patience in every line of his body, at the certainty that radiates from him like heat. "I accept." The bond's completion lights the hall like lightning striking upward. Gold threads explode from their touching hands, weaving through the air in patterns too complex to follow. The mate bond, faded, eternal, unbreakable, snaps into place with such force that wolves in the back rows stumble. Royal bonding ceremonies are rare, witnessed maybe twice in a generation. This one burns itself into 300 memories that will never fade. Marcus screams, "This isn't over. I'll expose whatever you're hiding. The council will hear about this." But Arya isn't listening. Her eyes have caught on a face in the crowd, half hidden behind Marcus's inner circle. Dead eyes, cruel smile. A face that exists in nightmares she can't quite grasp, in memory fragments that slip away when she reaches for them. The scent hits her a second later. Gunpowder, cedar, blood. The male who attacked her 4 months ago is standing 10 feet away. In Marcus's pack. Thuron carries Arya from the hall to his car, and it's not romance, it's necessity. Her legs won't support her weight, won't stop trembling no matter how hard she tries to control them. He moves through the crowd of shocked wolves like they don't exist, his arms iron bands around her body, and nobody dares speak. Nobody even breathes too loud. The car is black and bulletproof, with windows tinted so dark the world outside becomes shadows. Arya sits in leather seats that probably cost more than her childhood home, while Thuron drives in silence. The 40-minute journey to the royal palace passes in a fog she can't penetrate. Her brain won't process what just happened. 1 hour ago, she was being stripped of pack protection, about to be banished as a rogue with nowhere to go, and a baby coming in 5 months. Now she's queen-to-be. Now she's wearing a king's mate mark on her throat where everyone can see it. Now the male who attacked her is walking free in Marcus's pack, and she can't even remember his face clearly enough to be sure. They arrive at midnight. The palace materializes from darkness like something from a fairy tale, all white stone and impossible windows, towers reaching toward stars she can't see through city light pollution. It's beautiful. It's terrifying. It looks more like a museum than a home, more like a cage made of marble than anywhere a broken Omega belongs. Staff appear from nowhere, bowing as they pass. Arya's borrowed dress, the nicest thing she owned before tonight, is stained with dirt from kneeling on the assembly hall floor. There's a tear in the hem. Her hair has fallen from its careful pins. She's never felt more out of place in her life, walking through halls lined with portraits of queens who look regal and powerful and nothing like her. Thuron leads her through corridors that all look identical until they reach enormous double doors carved with moon phases. He pushes them open, revealing 6 rooms of luxury that make her Clearwater-packed childhood look like poverty. Sitting room with furniture that's probably antique. Bedroom with a bed big enough for 5 people. Bathroom with a tub carved from single piece of marble. Walk-in closet already filled with clothes in her size. He'd prepared this, she realizes. He'd known she was coming. "These are yours," Thuron says simply, gesturing to everything around them. "Everything in them, everything you need." Arya stands in the center of the bedroom, her bare feet sinking into carpet so thick it feels like walking on clouds, and something inside her chest cracks open. "I don't understand," she whispers, wrapping her arms around herself like she can hold the broken pieces together. "You're a king. You could have anyone, noble daughters, purebred Omegas from powerful packs, females who come to you perfect and whole and," she can't finish. Can't say the words. "Damaged goods." Pregnant Omega carrying another male's child. Shame incarnate. Thuron crosses to her in 3 strides and cups her face with both hands, tilting her head up until she has no choice but to meet his silver eyes. "Because you're mine," he says, and his voice carries absolute certainty. "The moon goddess chose us. That's not negotiable, not up for debate, not something I need to justify to you or anyone else." "But the baby," her voice breaks on the word. "Is mine," Thuron interrupts firmly. "By choice, by bond, by every law that matters. This child will call me father, will carry my name, will inherit my crown if they choose it. Do you understand?" Arya shakes her head because she doesn't understand. Can't comprehend why a king would choose this when he could have anything. A knock on the door saves her from having to respond. A woman in medical scrubs enters carrying a leather bag, mid-40s, dark skin, intelligent eyes that assess everything instantly. "Your Majesty," she says with a slight bow. "I'm Dr. Isla Reeves, the royal physician. We should examine her. Make sure both she and the pup are healthy after tonight's stress." The exam is thorough and professional and deeply uncomfortable. Arya lies on the massive bed while Dr. Reeves checks her vitals, palpates her abdomen, performs an ultrasound with portable equipment. Thuron stands by the window giving them privacy, but close enough that Arya can feel his presence like a physical weight. Dr. Reeves goes very quiet while studying the ultrasound screen. She takes measurements 3 times, checking and rechecking numbers that apparently don't make sense. Finally, she looks up with worry carved into every line of her face. "You're 14 weeks pregnant based on conception date," she says carefully. "But the fetus is showing development consistent with 24 weeks. The baby is growing at nearly double normal speed." She pauses. "This isn't typical. We need to monitor very closely. Daily check-ins, weekly ultrasounds. Any pain, any bleeding, any unusual symptoms, you contact me immediately." After the doctor leaves with promises to return tomorrow, silence settles over the room like heavy blanket. Arya sits on the edge of the bed, staring at her hands. The mate mark on her throat throbs with warmth where Thuron's teeth broke skin. "How did you find me?" she asks quietly, finally voicing the question that's been burning. "I changed my name, stayed off pack lands, avoided cities where royal watchers might." "Your scent." Thuron sits beside her on the enormous bed, close but not touching. "Every alpha knows their mate's scent. It's..." He pauses, searching for words. "It's like your soul has a signature that calls to mine. When you crossed into Silver Fang territory 3 weeks ago, I knew immediately. I've had watchers protecting you since." "Then you knew Marcus was." "Using you, yes." Thuron's expression darkens, silver eyes flashing with barely contained rage. I needed to see his full plan before acting. I suspected conspiracy but had no proof, just instinct that something was wrong. His hands curl into fists against his thighs. Until tonight. Arya's breath catches. That face in the crowd, dead eyes, cruel smile. That male, she says quietly, terror clawing at her throat. The one with dead eyes, I know him, I can't remember how, but when I saw him, her whole body starts shaking. He was there, in the forest. I can't remember what happened, but he was there. Thuron goes very, very still. Describe him. Early 30s, scar through his left eyebrow, moves like a fighter, like violence is his first language. The details come in fragments, nightmare pieces that won't form complete picture. His scent, gunpowder and cedar. I smelled it tonight and... Demon Cross, Thuron says grimly, and his voice drops to something ancient and deadly. Marcus's enforcer, his weapon. He stands abruptly, packing to the window. And if he's the one who attacked you 4 months ago... His hands curl into fists so tight his knuckles turn white. Then this wasn't random violence, it was planned. 3 days pass in the Queen's suite like she's living underwater. Everything feels muffled and distant and not quite real. Staff bring meals on silver trays, food that probably costs more than she used to make in a month, and Arya can't eat any of it. Her stomach twists every time she tries. She paces the 6 rooms until her feet ache, touching furniture that's too expensive to touch, staring out windows that overlook gardens she doesn't belong in. Thuron visits between political meetings, appearing in her doorway like clockwork every few hours. He doesn't push for physical intimacy, doesn't demand anything. He just sits with her on the ridiculous oversized couch and talks. About his childhood, about running a kingdom, about nothing important. He lets her process, lets her exist in the shock without forcing her to be okay. The royal court is less patient. Whispers echo through the palace corridors loud enough that even Arya hears them through closed doors. Where did she come from? Why is she pregnant? What's her bloodline? Is the king being blackmailed? The theories get wilder by the hour. Some say she's a spy. Others claim she's using dark magic. A few suggest Thuron's lost his mind entirely. On day 4, Dr. Reeves arrives for the daily check-in and finds Arya standing by the window staring at the gardens below. The physician takes one look at her pale face and makes an executive decision. You need fresh air, she says firmly. The baby needs movement. Your blood pressure is too high, your stress hormones are through the roof, and sitting in this suite isn't helping. She softens slightly. Just the gardens, perfectly safe, guards everywhere. The palace gardens span 5 acres of manicured perfection. Hedge mazes and rose gardens and fountains carved from marble that probably took years to create. Arya walks alone, though she knows guards shadow her from a distance. It was her request. She needs space to breathe, to think, to exist without feeling like a museum exhibit everyone's studying. The autumn air smells like pine and coming snow. Leaves crunch under her feet. For 10 minutes, she almost feels normal. Almost feels like herself instead of some broken thing a king claimed out of duty or pity or moon goddess knows what reason. Then she smells it. The scent hits her like physical blow, gunpowder and cedar and male aggression and blood. Her body remembers before her brain catches up. Every muscle locks. Her breath stops. Terror floods through her system so fast she can't think, can't move, can't scream. Demon Cross steps from behind a hedge 20 feet away, a silver blade catching afternoon sunlight in his hand. He smiles, and it's the smile from nightmares she can't quite grasp. "Hello, Arya," he says conversationally, like they're old friends meeting for tea. "Miss me?" She runs. Her pregnant body is slow, clumsy, center of gravity all wrong. She makes it maybe 30 feet before stumbling over her own feet. He's trained for this, trained for hunting, for killing, for catching prey that tries to escape. He closes the distance in seconds and slams her against a stone wall hard enough that her vision whites out. The knife presses to her throat before she can draw breath to scream. "Marcus says you're a problem that needs solving," Demon murmurs, his dead eyes examining her face with clinical detachment. Like she's an obstacle, not a person. "Can't have you playing queen now, can we?" "Security," Arya tries to scream, but the blade presses harder and blood wells hot against her skin. Is disabled, he interrupts pleasantly. We have 3 minutes before patrols return, plenty of time. The knife draws a shallow line across her throat, not deep enough to kill, just enough to hurt, to terrify. I was supposed to break you 4 months ago, make you too ashamed to claim your king, make you so damaged no alpha would want you. His smile widens. But you ran instead, and Marcus had to improvise. You attacked me. The memories flood back in fragments that cut like glass, forest, pain, his laugh while she begged him to stop. On Marcus's orders. Smart girl, finally remembering. Demon sounds genuinely pleased. Good. That drug was supposed to block memory formation permanently, but I guess royal mate bonds are stronger than nightshade essence. He leans closer, his breath hot against her face. I want you to remember this too. Want you to remember exactly who killed you and that bastard pup. A howl shatters the air, pure alpha command that makes every wolf within a mile radius drop to their knees in submission. Except Demon, who barely has time to turn before Thuron crashes through the hedge in half-shift form. He's more beast than man, silver fur erupting across his skin, claws extending, face elongated into something between human and wolf. Ancient, lethal, absolutely feral. Thuron rips Demon away from Arya with enough force to break bones. Demon flies 15 feet and crashes into a marble fountain, water exploding in every direction. Guards pour into the garden from 6 directions like they'd been waiting for the signal. Maybe they had been. Maybe this was a trap they'd set together. Demon tries to run. He makes it 3 steps before Thuron's beta, a massive male named Cashin with scars across his face, tackles him to the ground. Silver cuffs snap onto Demon's wrists, nullifying his wolf instantly. The metal burns his skin, smoke rising where it makes contact. You're dead, Demon screams as guards drag him toward the palace, his voice raw with rage and fear. You're all dead, Marcus will. Cashin punches him hard enough to break his jaw. Demon's threats dissolve into gurgling sounds. Thuron shifts back to human form, not bothering with the clothes that guards offer him. He crosses to Arya in 3 strides and gathers her into his arms while she shakes so violently her teeth chatter. Blood streams from the shallow cut across her throat, soaking into his bare chest where he pulls her against him. I've got you, he murmurs into her hair, his voice still carrying the wolf's growl. I've got you, you're safe, I've got you. In the palace hospital, Dr. Reeves works with steady efficiency. She cleans the throat wound, shallow, won't scar badly, and performs an ultrasound while Arya lies on the exam table still trembling. The baby's heartbeat fills the room, strong and steady despite everything. Still strong, Dr. Reeves says, relief evident in her voice. But Arya, your blood pressure is dangerous, this level of stress. I'm remembering, Arya interrupts, staring at the ceiling while tears stream down her temples into her hair. The attack, pieces of it. He said Marcus ordered it, that I was supposed to be broken before I could claim you. She finally looks at Thuron, who's standing beside the exam table wearing borrowed clothes and radiating barely controlled violence. He used a drug, nightshade essence, to block my memory, to make sure I wouldn't recognize my mate. Thuron's expression transforms into something ancient and absolutely lethal. His eyes flash pure silver, full alpha taking control. Then Marcus just graduated from conspiracy to attempted regicide, he says quietly, and his voice carries the promise of death. And I'm going to enjoy tearing him apart. Demon Cross sits in the palace dungeons with silver chains burning his wrists, smoke rising where the metal contacts skin. The underground cells are old, built centuries ago when werewolf justice was simpler and more brutal. Stone walls, iron doors, the smell of blood and fear that never quite washes away. Thuron enters with Cashin and the royal interrogator, a female named Lyra with dead eyes and abilities Arya doesn't want to think about. Arya watches through one-way glass from a room adjacent to the cell, her hand pressed against the cold surface. Thuron had wanted her somewhere else, anywhere else, had practically ordered her to stay in the Queen's suite, but she'd insisted on hearing the truth, on seeing the face of the male who destroyed her life and understanding why. The interrogation is brutal. Not physically. Thuron doesn't lay a hand on Demon, doesn't have to. Alpha Command is its own form of torture, stripping away lies like acid eating through flesh. The power presses down on Demon until he's gasping for breath, until his wolf writhes inside him trying to submit to superior dominance. "Tell me everything," Thuron says quietly, and his voice carries absolute authority. "Start from the beginning, leave nothing out." Demon tries to resist. His jaw locks, muscles straining as he fights the compulsion. It lasts maybe 30 seconds before Alpha Command shatters his defenses completely. The words pour out like he's vomiting them. Marcus discovered through his spy network that Arya would attend the Moon Festival. Someone on the planning committee, Demon doesn't know who, leaked the raffle winner list weeks in advance. Marcus had been watching for potential fated mates to the king for months, searching for leverage, for weakness he could exploit. When Arya's name appeared alongside a notation that she came from a minor pack with no political connections, he'd seen opportunity. "He learned she might be your fated mate," Demon says, the words dragged from him against his will. "Rare intelligence. Had to be insider information from someone close to you, someone who could sense the bond before it formed." Behind the glass, Arya's blood runs cold. Someone in Thuron's inner circle, a traitor. Marcus had ordered Demon to attack Arya 3 weeks before the festival. The instructions were specific, clinical, designed to achieve maximum damage with surgical precision. Assault her. Ensure pregnancy through repeated violations. Use nightshade essence to block memory formation and prevent immediate mate bond recognition. Leave her alive but broken. Arya's stomach heaves. She barely makes it to the corner trash can before vomiting everything in her system. Through the glass, she sees Thuron's hands curl into fists so tight his claws extend, piercing his own palms. Blood drips onto stone floor. "The plan was simple," Demon continues, his voice monotone under command. "Make her damaged goods before she could claim you. She'd be too ashamed to approach a king while pregnant with another male's child. Marcus would wait a few months, then discover her, position himself as the noble alpha who'd accept what royalty rejected." His dead eyes focus on Thuron. "He'd control the king's mate, gain leverage over the throne, make you vulnerable." "But she ran," Cashin says quietly. "She ran," Demon confirms, something almost like respect flickering in his expression. "Disappeared into neutral territories, changed her name. Marcus spent 2 months hunting for her before he found her working at that healing clinic in Silver Fang territory." He laughs without humor. "He courted her for 6 weeks. Flowers, gifts, pretty words. Thought he'd broken her enough that she'd accept any alpha who showed interest." "The rejection ceremony," Thuron says, and his voice drops to something that makes Arya's wolf whimper in terror even through glass and walls. "Was punishment," Demon finishes, "for not following the script, for refusing Marcus's courtship. He wanted to humiliate her publicly, strip her of pack protection, make her desperate." His smile is cruel. "And bait to draw out any connection to you. If you showed up, and you did, it confirmed she was your mate. Gave Marcus proof to take to the other conspirators." Thuron goes very, very still. "Who else is involved?" Demon laughs, and the sound echoes off stone walls like breaking glass. Blood streams from his mouth where he's bitten his tongue fighting the command. "You think Marcus planned this alone? A nobody alpha from Silver Fang territory orchestrating an attack on the king's fated mate." He spits blood onto the floor. "The Silver Fang Elder Council, the Crimson Ridge Alpha, the Northern Coalition. 7 packs total, Your Majesty, all waiting for you to show weakness so they could strike." The temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. Cashin's expression transforms into something lethal. Lyra the interrogator stops taking notes, her pen frozen above paper. "A coup," Thuron says softly. "A coordinated strike against your rule," Demon confirms. "They hate your progressive laws, hate that you protect omegas, hate that you banned forced bonds and require consent for marking. They want the old ways back, where omegas are property and alphas rule through strength alone." His dead eyes find Thuron's. "Breaking your mate was supposed to break you, make you vulnerable, distracted, weak enough to overthrow." "Names," Thuron commands. "Every name, every alpha, every conspirator." The names pour out for 20 minutes. 7 alphas, 14 beta enforcers, 3 elder council members. a network that spans territories and reaches into Thuron's own palace staff. By the end, Lyra has filled 6 pages with names, locations, evidence that will condemn dozens of wolves to execution for treason. Behind the glass, Arya watches her mate's face transform into something ancient and absolutely lethal. This isn't the male who sits with her on the couch and talks about nothing important. This isn't the patient king who lets her process at her own pace. This is the alpha who rules 7 territories through a combination of progressive law and the absolute certainty that challenging him means death. "One more question," Thuron says quietly. "Did you enjoy it attacking her?" Demon meets his eyes without flinching. "Does it matter?" "It matters to me." Silence stretches between them. Then Demon smiles. "Yes, I enjoyed breaking something that belonged to you, enjoyed knowing I'd touched what you'd never have pure." Thuron moves so fast Arya doesn't see it. 1 second he's standing 5 feet away. The next his hand is around Demon's throat, claws extended, silver eyes blazing with wolf rising to the surface. "You're going to die screaming," he whispers. "But not today. Today you're going to sit in this cell and think about what's coming. Think about how I'm going to hunt down every conspirator you named. Think about how your death will be the last one, after you've watched everyone you protected die first." He releases Demon and walks out, his control hanging by a thread so thin Arya can see it fraying. Cashin follows, leaving Lyra to secure the prisoner. Arya meets Thuron in the corridor outside the observation room. He stops when he sees her, his chest heaving, blood and wolf and barely contained violence radiating from every line of his body. "This isn't just about me anymore," she says quietly. "No," Thuron's voice is raw. "This is war." Thuron calls an emergency session with his council of alphas within 6 hours of Demon's confession. 50 pack leaders who govern under his rule arrive at the palace before dawn, summoned by royal command that brooks no refusal. They gather in the throne room, ancient chamber with vaulted ceilings and walls carved with the history of their kind, while Arya watches from the gallery above. Thuron doesn't waste time on pleasantries. He lays out Demon's confession with brutal efficiency. The conspiracy, the attack, the 7 traitor packs who'd coordinated to break his mate and weaken his rule. His voice carries through the chamber with absolute authority, and by the time he finishes, the temperature has dropped 20 degrees from collective rage. "I require loyalty oaths renewed," Thuron says quietly. "Now, before this council, any who refuse will be arrested for treason and tried under Alpha's justice." 43 Alphas step forward immediately. They kneel in unison, bare their throats in submission, and swear loyalty to king and kingdom with words that echo off stone walls. Their devotion is absolute, unwavering, proven through decades of service. 7 Alphas remain standing. The silence that follows is deafening. Every wolf in the chamber stares at the 7 who have just confirmed their treachery through inaction. They know what's coming. They're choosing death over submission. "Arrest them," Thuron says simply. Royal guards move with practiced efficiency. Silver cuffs snap onto wrists, nullifying wolves instantly. The 7 traitor alphas are dragged from the throne room without ceremony, their snarls and threats dissolving into the dungeons below. By sunrise, their packs will be dissolved, their territories absorbed into loyal regions, their names erased from honor rolls. That night, Thuron makes an announcement that detonates through every news channel in 7 territories. The royal bonding ceremony will proceed in 3 days. Not a private ritual tucked away from scrutiny, a public declaration before 2,000 witnesses in the Grand Cathedral. Every news camera in the region is invited. Every pack leader who swore loyalty will attend. "Let every wolf in my kingdom see what I claim," Thuron declares to the press corps assembled in the palace courtyard. "Let the conspirators who remain in hiding understand they've already lost." Arya watches the broadcast from the Queen's suite and feels panic claw up her throat. She finds Thuron in his office an hour later, surrounded by security plans and guest lists and ceremonial protocols that make her head spin. "I'm not ready," she says, and her voice cracks on the words. "I don't know how to be queen. I'm still remembering the attack piece by piece. I can't stand in front of 2,000 wolves and pretend I'm whole enough for this. I can't." "You don't have to be ready," Thuron interrupts gently, crossing to her and cupping her face with both hands. "You just have to stand beside me. I'll handle the rest." His silver eyes hold hers with unwavering certainty. "You're not pretending to be whole. You're proving that broken things can be fierce. That trauma survivors deserve crowns. That strength isn't about never falling, it's about rising anyway." 3 days pass in a blur of preparation Arya barely participates in. Staff fit her for a dress. Advisors brief her on protocol she won't remember. Dr. Reeves performs daily checkups while the baby grows at impossible speed, now showing development of 28 weeks despite being only 18 weeks from conception. The ceremony day arrives with crystalline autumn weather. The grand cathedral can hold 3,000 wolves, and every seat is filled. Another 10,000 gather outside to watch on enormous screens. News cameras capture everything from 12 angles. Arya wears white, controversial choice that makes traditionalists whisper. White symbolizes purity, and her pregnancy is visible under the flowing gown, unmistakable evidence of her imperfection. But Thuron had insisted. "You're not impure," he'd said firmly. "You're a survivor. Wear white and let them choke on their judgments." Thuron wears the royal circlet, ancient gold worked with moon phases, and full ceremonial regalia that makes him look like something from history books. Powerful, untouchable, every inch a king. The ritual is ancient, formal, witnessed by cameras that broadcast to millions. A priestess of the moon goddess, ancient female with white hair and eyes that see too much, performs the ceremony in the old language before translating for modern witnesses. Thuron's vow comes first. He stands before Arya at the cathedral's center, takes her hands, and speaks loud enough for every wolf to hear. "I claim Arya Winters as mate, bond, and queen. Her past is mine. Her future is mine. Her child is mine. Any who challenge this challenge me personally." Gasps ripple through the crowd. He didn't say accept her past. He claimed it, made it his, took ownership of her trauma and her unborn daughter in the same breath he claimed her as queen. Arya's vow follows. Her voice shakes, but she forces the words out clearly. "I accept Thuron Blackthorn as mate, bond, and king. I will stand where he needs me. I will rise when he falls. I will protect what we build." The marking comes next. Thuron's canines extend, longer than normal, razor sharp, carrying alpha dominance that makes every wolf in the cathedral bare their throats instinctively. He bites the junction of her throat and shoulder, the traditional marking place visible to everyone. Pain explodes through her system, followed immediately by pleasure so intense she gasps. The mate bond surges between them like lightning. Then Arya does something that shocks the traditionalists into stunned silence. She bites him back. Omegas rarely mark their alphas. It's considered presumptuous, overstepping boundaries that tradition has carved in stone for centuries. But Thuron had insisted on equality, had bared his throat to her yesterday and said, "Mark me. Let everyone see this bond goes both ways." Her canines extend. She bites the same place on his throat, tasting his blood, feeling his wolf surge against hers in recognition. The bond completes with a flash of gold light so bright it's visible even to the humans in attendance. Gold threads explode from their joined bodies, weaving through the air in patterns too complex to follow, binding mate to mate with magic older than recorded history. The crowd gasps. Completed bonds are rare, fated mates rarer still, and royal bonds haven't been witnessed in 50 years. Cameras capture everything, broadcasting the moment to millions who will never forget. But something unexpected happens. Arya's belly glows with the same gold light, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. The unborn child responds to the bond magic, her tiny body lit from within like a star. The light grows brighter, brighter, until Arya can feel heat radiating through her skin. Dr. Reeves stands at the medical station 20 feet away, her face draining of color. "The bond is affecting the baby," she whispers to her assistant. "I've never seen, this shouldn't be possible." The glow fades slowly, leaving Arya gasping for breath. Her legs give out completely. Thuron catches her before she hits the ground, gathering her into his arms while 2,000 wolves stare in shocked silence. "The celebration continues," Cashin announces from the platform, his voice cutting through the stunned quiet. "The king tends his queen." Thuron carries Arya from the cathedral, ignoring protocol and hundreds of witnesses and cameras capturing every step. She buries her face in his chest, overwhelmed by sensation. The completed bond, the marking, the strange magic that had filled her daughter with golden light. In private medical rooms beneath the cathedral, Dr. Reeves examines Arya with shaking hands. She performs an ultrasound while 3 other specialists crowd around the screen. What they see makes Dr. Reeves call for a 4th opinion, then a 5th, until 6 physicians stare at impossible data. 5 hours later, they deliver news that shouldn't be real. "The baby's DNA is changing," Dr. Reeves says carefully, her voice stunned. "Not metaphorically, literally. The genetic markers that identified Demon Cross as biological father are being overwritten by markers matching your Majesty's bloodline." She looks at Thuron, then Arya, then back at the screen displaying data that rewrites everything they understand about werewolf biology. The mate bond is so strong it's rewriting paternity. "I've read theoretical papers about bond inheritance, but I've never seen it happen. Your daughter isn't being adopted by royal blood. She's being transformed into biological heir." Arya stares at the ultrasound image showing her daughter, fully formed now, growing at impossible speed. "My daughter," she whispers. Dr. Reeves smiles despite her shock. "Girl, confirmed today. Congratulations, Your Majesty." The nightshade essence blocking Arya's memories has been degrading for 6 weeks, accelerated by the mate bond's intensity, by the biological impossibility happening inside her body, by magic that shouldn't exist rewriting her daughter's DNA. Fragments have surfaced in nightmares that leave her gasping and shaking at 3 in the morning. Pieces of sound, flashes of pain, the smell of gunpowder and cedar that makes her stomach heave. But tonight, during a state dinner with visiting diplomats from the Western territories, the dam breaks completely. Arya sits at Thuron's right hand in the grand dining hall, wearing a gown that accommodates her 7-month pregnancy. She's discussing trade agreements with the Western Alpha, a reasonable male named Garrett who actually listens when she speaks, when a servant passes behind her chair to refill wine glasses. The scent hits her like a physical blow. Cedar and gunpowder, male aggression, blood. Demon's scent, lingering on the servant's uniform where he'd brushed against it. The staff member had been bribed weeks ago, paid to carry messages, to provide intelligence. Palace security would find the evidence later, would arrest the traitor and extract confession. But in this moment, all Arya knows is that smell, the smell that's haunted dreams she couldn't quite grasp. The memory restoration is instantaneous and devastating. She's walking through Clearwater Pack Forest 3 weeks before the Moon Festival. Early morning, mist still clinging to the ground, returning from a healing lesson with the pack physician. The path is familiar, safe, used by pack members daily. She's thinking about the festival, about the raffle she'd won, about whether she's brave enough to actually attend. Demon attacks from behind. His hand covers her mouth before she can scream, his other arm locking around her waist, dragging her off the path into dense undergrowth. She fights, Moon Goddess. She fights so hard, but he's trained and she's not. He's twice her size and violence is his native language. The struggle, his weight crushing her into forest floor. Her begging him to stop, please stop. She won't tell anyone, please just let her go. His laugh cold and clinical and utterly devoid of empathy. Nothing personal, sweetheart, just business. The assault, pain that splits her apart. The feeling of something fundamental breaking inside her that has nothing to do with physical damage. Her wolf howling in anguish, unable to protect her, unable to shift with Demon's hand crushing her throat. Him discussing payment on a phone call afterward while she lies bleeding and broken in the leaves. Marcus's voice crackling through the speaker. Make sure she conceives. We need proof. Without pregnancy, this was pointless. Demon checking, confirming, reporting back. It's done. She'll be pregnant. The timing's perfect. The injection. Silver needle piercing her neck. nightshade essence flooding her system, blocking memory formation, ensuring she'll wake confused and terrified without understanding why. Him leaving her there like garbage, like she's nothing, like she's just another job completed. Waking hours later, alone and bleeding, her clothes torn, unable to remember anything except pain and the certainty that something terrible happened. Arya screams. The sound is primal, animal, something torn from the deepest part of her soul where trauma lives. Crystal shatters, every wine glass in the dining hall exploding simultaneously from the force of her anguish. Diplomats dive for cover. Guards surge forward. Thuron is beside her instantly, but she can't see him. She's trapped in the memory, reliving every second of violation in real time while her present-day body collapses. She screams until her throat is raw. Screams until Dr. Reeves appears from nowhere with a sedative that takes 3 tries to inject because Arya's thrashing so violently. The drug pulls her under slowly, mercifully, into darkness where memories can't follow. When she wakes hours later, she's in the Queen's suite. Thuron sits vigil beside the bed, still wearing his formal dinner clothes, his face carved from stone. The moon has set. Dawn approaches. He hasn't moved. "I remember," Arya whispers, and her voice is destroyed from screaming. All of it, every second. Tears stream down her temples into her hair. Marcus ordered it. He watched from the trees to confirm Demon had succeeded. Demon called him after to report I'd conceived. They needed proof, needed pregnancy to make me damaged goods before I could claim you. Thuron's control fractures like glass under pressure. He stands so abruptly the chair crashes backward. His fist goes through the marble wall with enough force to crack stone in a spiderweb pattern. Blood streams from his knuckles where bone breaks through skin. He doesn't seem to notice. "I'm going to kill him," Thuron says, and his voice is absolutely calm. That's what makes it terrifying, the complete absence of rage, just cold certainty. Not arrest him, not trial. I'm going to rip his throat out and leave his body for the crows. "You're a king," Arya says softly, pushing herself upright despite every muscle screaming protest. "You can't just—" "I'm your mate first," Thuron interrupts, turning to face her. His eyes have gone pure silver, full wolf rising to the surface. "King second, and my mate was violated as a chess move, used as a pawn in someone else's game, broken deliberately to weaken me." He crosses back to the bed, kneeling beside it, taking her hands carefully like she's made of glass. Alpha's justice applies, ancient law. An attack on the ruler's mate or heir is punishable by immediate execution. The offender chooses submission or combat. Both end in death. A knock interrupts. Cashin enters without waiting for permission, his expression grim. "Your Majesty, we have a problem. Marcus Ashford has fled Silver Fang territory. Our trackers followed his scent to the northern border, then lost it completely. He's either using scent blockers or he's had help from someone with magic." "He's running to the conspirators," Thuron says, standing but not releasing Arya's hand. "The ones who weren't exposed during the loyalty oaths, regrouping for a final attack before we can hunt them all down." Arya sits up fully despite Dr. Reeves's protests from the doorway. The physician had been summoned when Arya woke, had been monitoring vital signs from across the room. "Then we bait him out," Arya says, and her voice grows stronger with each word. "Announce my coronation as Queen Luna. Make it public, ceremonial, broadcast across all territories. An irresistible target." "Absolutely not," Thuron snaps, his grip on her hand tightening. "You're 7 months pregnant with accelerated development. Dr. Reeves says you could give birth any day. The baby's growth is off every chart. I'm not using you as bait when you're this vulnerable." "I'm not asking permission," Arya says quietly, and she pulls her hand free to cup his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. Thuron sees the transformation happening in real time, from victim to survivor to something fiercer. Warrior, queen, something that won't break again. "I'm telling you what's happening. Marcus tried to break me 4 months ago. He failed. He tried to humiliate me at the rejection ceremony. You stopped him. He tried to have me killed in the gardens. Your guards saved me." Her voice drops to something cold and absolute. "Now I'm going to break him. I'm going to stand in front of every wolf in this kingdom wearing a crown, carrying your daughter, alive and whole despite everything he did. And when he comes for me, Because he will. I'm going to watch you tear him apart. Thuron stares at his mate, at the Omega who fled from shame 4 months ago, and sees someone completely different. Someone forged by trauma into something unbreakable. 3 days, he says finally. The coronation happens in 3 days, but Arya, when Marcus comes, you stay behind me. You protect our daughter. Let me handle the rest. Deal, Arya agrees, then softer. I need to testify against Demon. I need to tell everyone what he did, what Marcus ordered. I need other survivors to see that speaking truth doesn't make you weak. After the coronation, Thuron promises, after Marcus is dead and the threat is ended, then you can testify. Then you can burn down everyone who tried to break you. 3 days before the scheduled coronation, Arya wakes at 4 in the morning to pain that tears through her abdomen like claws. She gasps, clutching her belly, and the movement wakes Thuron instantly. He's on his feet before she can speak, already calling for Dr. Reeves while helping Arya sit upright. It's too early, Arya pants between contractions. I'm only 30 weeks. You're showing development of 38 weeks, Dr. Reeves corrects when she arrives 7 minutes later, her medical team flooding into the Queen's suite with equipment. The accelerated growth means accelerated delivery. This is right on schedule for your daughter's timeline, even if it's 8 weeks early by normal standards. The labor lasts 14 hours. 4 specialists assist Dr. Reeves while Thuron refuses to leave Arya's side despite protocol suggesting kings don't witness births. He holds her hand through every contraction, every scream, every moment she's certain she's being torn in half. She breaks 2 of his fingers. He doesn't complain. At 6:18 in the evening, Arya delivers a 7-pound baby girl with a full head of dark hair and eyes that open immediately. Silver eyes, the king's bloodline marker, impossible since 3 months ago Demon's DNA should have made them brown. They name her Selene, moon goddess, appropriate for a child born from such complicated fate, from violence transformed by choice into something precious. Arya holds her daughter and weeps, not from pain, but from overwhelming love mixed with terror so intense she can barely breathe. This child came from violence. This child shouldn't exist. This child is perfect. Tiny fingers curl around Arya's thumb with surprising strength. Selene's silver eyes focus on her mother's face with an awareness that seems impossible for a newborn. She's beautiful, Thuron whispers, sitting beside Arya on the hospital bed, one careful finger stroking Selene's impossibly soft cheek. She's perfect. She's in danger, Arya says quietly, looking up at her mate. As long as Marcus lives, as long as those conspirators are out there planning their attack, she'll never be safe. Thuron's expression hardens. Then we make her safe. The argument starts the next morning. Thuron refuses to proceed with the coronation, standing in the Queen's suite with his arms crossed while Arya sits in bed nursing Selene. You just gave birth, he says firmly. You need recovery time, weeks, not days. The coronation can wait. We don't have weeks, Arya argues, adjusting Selene's position carefully. The baby nurses with fierce determination, already showing personality. Every day we wait gives Marcus opportunity to recruit more conspirators, to plan better attacks, to find our weaknesses. We end this now. You can barely walk. I'll manage. Your blood pressure is still dangerously high. Dr. Reeves will monitor it. Arya. Marcus wins if we wait, Arya interrupts, her voice going quiet and steel. He wins if I hide, if I prove that trauma survivors can't rise, if I demonstrate that what he did to me was enough to keep me small and afraid and tucked away where I'm safe. She looks down at Selene, who's fallen asleep mid-feeding, milk-drunk and peaceful. I want her first memory of me to be strength, not hiding. Against every advisor's recommendation, the coronation proceeds 3 days after Selene's birth. Dr. Reeves clears Arya medically with the caveat that she's signing the approval under protest. Your blood pressure is dangerously high, the physician warns. Any stress could trigger a stroke. You should be in bed for another week minimum. Noted, Arya says, and doesn't change her mind. The ceremony requires Arya to walk the length of the ceremonial hall, a space that holds 3,000 wolves easily, and kneel before the Council of Alphas while Thuron places the Luna crown on her head. 2,000 wolves pack every available seat. Another 10,000 gather outside to watch via broadcast on screens erected throughout the city. News cameras capture everything from 15 angles. Security is unprecedented. 50 royal guards line the walls. Magical wards, erected by the kingdom's most powerful witches, create invisible barriers at every entrance. Aerial surveillance monitors the building and surrounding blocks. Cashin personally oversees every detail, paranoid and thorough. Selene is in the royal nursery, 3 floors up with 10 dedicated protectors. The room is warded, locked, monitored by cameras that feed directly to Thuron's earpiece. He can see his daughter sleeping peacefully in her bassinet while he prepares to crown his queen. Arya wears white again. Because tradition be damned, she's earned the right to wear whatever color she chooses. The gown is designed to hide how weak she still is, how 3 days post-birth her body is held together mostly by determination and spite. Her hair is arranged to cover the mate mark on her throat, though everyone knows it's there. The Luna crown waits on a velvet cushion, ancient gold worked with moonstones that glow in candlelight. The ceremony begins at sunset. Arya takes Thuron's arm at the hall's entrance and they walk the long aisle together. Every step is agony. Her body screams at her to stop, to rest. To admit this is too much too soon. She ignores it. She smiles at the crowd. She holds her head high. They reach the dais at the hall's center. Thuron helps Arya kneel. The movement nearly breaks her, pain shooting through her abdomen where her body is still healing. She bites the inside of her cheek hard enough to taste blood and doesn't let the pain show on her face. The Council of Alphas stands in a semicircle around them. 43 loyal alphas who swore oaths and meant them. The priestess of the moon goddess begins the ancient words, her voice carrying through the hall without amplification. Thuron lifts the Luna crown from its cushion. The moonstones catch light, glowing brighter. He raises it above Arya's head, preparing to lower it into place, to make her queen in truth and law in every way that matters. That's when the lights go out. Every chandelier extinguishes simultaneously. Emergency lighting fails. The magical wards flicker and die. Darkness drops over the ceremonial hall like a suffocating blanket. Absolute and sudden and wrong. Screams erupt. Wolves surge to their feet. Guards shout orders that no one can hear over the chaos. And through Thuron's earpiece, connected to the nursery cameras 3 floors up, comes a sound that stops his heart. Selene crying. Not normal infant fussing. A scream of pure terror that no 3-day-old baby should be capable of making. The nursery, Thuron snarls, already moving. His wolf surges to the surface, night vision activating, letting him see what humans can't. He registers Arya's face in the darkness, not afraid, but furious, before Cashin's voice crackles through every guard's communication device. Breach on the 3rd floor. Multiple hostiles, the princess. The transmission cuts to static. Thuron runs. The darkness is absolute and suffocating, pressing down on 2,000 wolves trapped in the ceremonial hall. Then Marcus's voice echoes through speakers positioned throughout the building, amplified and distorted and dripping with satisfaction. Did you really think I'd let you crown a whore as queen? Explosions detonate on the building's west side. 3 sequential blasts that rock the foundation and send chunks of marble crashing to the floor. Guards surge toward the explosions instinctively, exactly as planned. The diversionary tactic works perfectly, pulling security away from their posts, creating gaps in the defensive perimeter. In the darkness and confusion, 12 rogues breach the palace through service tunnels that shouldn't exist, old maintenance passages from when the palace was built 2 centuries ago, sealed decades back, but recently reopened by someone with insider knowledge. Their target, the royal nursery 3 floors up. Arya feels it through the mate bond before conscious thought catches up, Selene's terror slamming into her chest like a physical blow. The connection between mother and daughter, already impossibly strong for a 3-day-old infant, transmits pure panic that steals Arya's breath. "The baby," she screams, already moving despite her body's protests. 3 days post-birth and she's running, her wound from childbirth tearing open, blood soaking through the white gown. She doesn't care. Can't care. Her daughter needs her. Thuron is ahead of her, shifting mid-sprint. His formal regalia shreds as his body transforms, wolf erupting from human skin in a cascade of silver fur and lethal power. He crashes through wolves frozen in panic, heading for the nearest stairwell with single-minded focus. Arya follows, slower but desperate. Guards try to stop her. "Your Majesty, you're injured, you need to." But she shoves past them. Her legs threaten to give out with every step. She climbs stairs she can barely see, following Thuron's scent and the pull of the mate bond and maternal instinct that overrides every physical limitation. They reach the nursery to find 10 guards unconscious on the floor, their bodies arranged carefully in the hallway. Not dead, Marcus wants plausible deniability, wants this to look like a rogue attack he wasn't directly involved in. Drugged, Arya realizes. Someone poisoned their coffee hours ago during shift change. The nursery door hangs open, torn from its hinges. Inside, Demon Cross stands beside the window holding 3-day-old Selene against the glass. His hand wraps completely around her tiny throat, thumb and fingers meeting easily. One squeeze and he could crush her windpipe. The window is open. Cold night air streams in, 3 stories up, stone courtyard below. "One step closer and I drop her," Demon warns, his dead eyes tracking Thuron's wolf form. 3-story fall onto stone. Even royal bobbies don't survive that. Marcus emerges from the shadows near the nursery's back entrance, holding a silver-loaded gun aimed directly at Arya's chest. His face is twisted with rage and desperation and something close to madness. "Should have accepted my offer when you had the chance," he says, almost conversational. "But no, you had to humiliate me, had to claim the king, had to play queen like you deserved it." "Let her go," Arya begs, her voice breaking. She can see Selene's face, red from crying, her tiny body rigid with fear. "She's innocent. She's a baby. Whatever you want from me from Thuron, take it. Just don't hurt her." "She's leverage," Marcus corrects, his gun never wavering. "Thuron abdicates right now publicly on every news camera broadcasting this disaster. You come with me, we disappear into neutral territories where his authority doesn't reach. Or," he smiles, "the bastard dies and I kill you both anyway. Your choice." Thuron's wolf form growls, the sound vibrating through the floor. His muscles coil to attack, every line of his body screaming violence. But Marcus has the angle. Any move and Demon drops Selene. Any moment of distraction and Marcus pulls the trigger. "You orchestrated my attack," Arya says, desperately stalling for time. Behind Marcus, she can see movement in the hallway, guards regrouping, closing in slowly. "Hired Demon, drugged me with nightshade essence, all to control Thuron through me." "Guilty as charged," Marcus admits cheerfully, like he's proud of his planning. 7 packs supported the plan: the Silver Fang Council, Crimson Ridge, Northern Coalition. We were going to overthrow Thuron's progressive regime, return to traditional values where Omegas know their place and Alphas rule through strength. But you ran instead of accepting my courtship, and I had to improvise. By pretending to court me. By trapping you, figured public rejection would flush out any royal connection, and it did, Marcus laughs. Didn't expect Thuron to claim you in front of 300 witnesses. That was bold. Stupid, but bold. "So you adapt," Arya says, keeping him talking. "Kill the queen, kill the heir, blame it on rogue attack during coronation chaos. Thuron's weakened by grief, you strike within the month." "Now you're getting it," Marcus's smile widens. "You're smarter than you look, shame you have to die." While Marcus monologues, Arya notices something that makes her heart stop. Selene is staring directly at her mother with those impossible silver eyes. And the baby's eyes are glowing brighter, brighter, poolsing with light that shouldn't exist in a 3-day-old infant. Selene shifts. The transformation is instantaneous and medically impossible. 3 days old. Wolves don't shift until age 12 minimum. But bond inheritance doesn't follow normal rules, and royal bloodline obeys its own laws. The infant in Demon's hands becomes a tiny wolf cub, silver fur, oversized paws, eyes blazing with power that dwarfs her size. The cub releases a cry that's not human. It's pure alpha command amplified by royal bloodline that should have taken decades to develop. The sound echoes through every wolf mind in the entire kingdom, shattering the magical dampening spell like it was never there. Mind links explode back online. 2,000 wolves in the ceremonial hall below, every guard in the palace, every soldier stationed in the city, every pack member within 50 miles. They all feel the call simultaneously, transmitted through bloodline connection that demands obedience. The princess needs you. Demon drops Selene in shock, his hands jerking away from the impossible creature like she's burning him. Thuron moves faster than physics should allow, catching his daughter midair before she hits the ground. The tiny wolf cub shifts back to human infant in his arms, crying but unharmed. Arya positions herself between Marcus and her family, her body a shield despite the gun pointed at her chest. "You lose," she says quietly. The palace erupts with sound, hundreds of wolves responding to Selene's call, converging on the nursery from every direction. Guards pour through the doorway from 6 angles. Marcus fires in panic 3 silver bullets that spray wildly. One catches Arya in the shoulder, spinning her around. She stumbles but doesn't fall, her hand clamping over the wound as blood streams between her fingers. 2 other bullets miss as Cassian crashes into Marcus from behind, tackling him to the ground with enough force to crack ribs. The gun skitters across the floor. Demon tries to flee, diving for the window. A massive wolf crashes through the glass from outside, Arya's father Edward Winters, who'd spent 4 months investigating Marcus while drowning in shame, who'd positioned himself on the roof waiting for exactly this moment. He throws himself between Demon and escape, taking 2 silver bullets in the chest that were meant for his daughter. "For my daughter," Edward gasps as he shifts back to human form, collapsing onto broken glass. Blood pools beneath him. "For my granddaughter." Demon tries to raise his gun again. Cassian's mate Raven, a scarred warrior with ice in her veins, appears from nowhere and snaps his wrist with surgical precision. Bones crack audibly. The gun clatters away. 3 guards drag Demon down. Silver cuffs locking onto his wrists, while he screams threats that nobody's listening to. Marcus is still fighting beneath Cassian, half-shifted, feral with desperation. His carefully constructed plan has disintegrated in minutes. "She's not even yours," he screams at Thuron, spitting blood. "That child is Demon's bastard. The proof is in the DNA. You're protecting another male's pup." Dr. Reeves appears in the doorway, tablet in hand, her medical coat somehow still pristine despite the chaos. "Actually," she says with clinical calm, "the latest genetic panel, completed this morning, shows 99.7% paternity match to King Thuron. Bond inheritance rewrote her DNA completely. Selene is his biological daughter now. The science is irrefutable." Marcus's face crumples. Everything he'd built, every plan he'd crafted, destroyed by magic he didn't believe existed. "Alpha's justice," Thuron says quietly, still holding his impossibly shifted daughter against his chest. Selene has stopped crying, her tiny hand fisted in his shirt. "You ordered the attack on my mate. You attempted to kidnap my heir. You orchestrated conspiracy against the throne." His voice drops to something ancient. "Choose submission or combat." "Combat," Marcus snarls through broken teeth. "I'll die fighting before I submit to you." "As you wish." The fight lasts 43 seconds. Thuron hands Selene to Dr. Reeves, shifts to full wolf form, and tears Marcus's throat out with clinical efficiency. There's no drama, no prolonged combat, just execution. Marcus's body hits the floor and doesn't move again. Demon dies from his wounds before guards can drag him to the dungeons. The silver bullets combined with injuries from Edward's attack prove fatal. Nobody tries very hard to save him. But Arya collapses, shock and blood loss overwhelming her system. The adrenaline that kept her standing evaporates. She hits the ground hard, her vision tunneling to black. Edward is rushed to surgery, 3 silver bullets extracted from his chest. He survives, but the damage to his spine is catastrophic, paralyzed from the waist down, facing life in a wheelchair. But alive, forgiven, redeemed. Selene shifts back to human form in Dr. Reeves's arms and won't stop crying, her impossible silver eyes searching for her mother who can't respond. Arya wakes in the hospital wing with sunlight streaming through windows that face the eastern gardens. Her body feels like it's been torn apart and badly reassembled, which isn't far from the truth. 3 days have passed, she learns later. 3 days of unconsciousness while doctors work to repair the damage from the silver bullet, from childbirth complications, from running and fighting when her body had nothing left to give. Thuron sits beside her bed looking like he hasn't slept in a week. Probably hasn't. Dark circles shadow his eyes. His formal clothes from the coronation are gone, replaced by simple shirt and pants that are rumpled and blood-stained. He's holding her hand like he's afraid she'll disappear if he lets go. Selene is cradled in a bassinet nearby, returned to human infant form, sleeping peacefully. Her tiny chest rises and falls with steady breaths. No indication that 3 days ago she did the impossible and shifted at 72 hours old. "Your father saved you," Thuron says quietly when he realizes Arya's awake. His voice is raw, destroyed from shouting orders during the attack. "Saved Selene, threw himself between Demon and the door, took 2 silver bullets to the chest that were meant for you." He pauses. "He'll never walk again. The spinal damage was too severe, but he's alive." Arya processes this information slowly, her brain still foggy from painkillers. The father who'd refused to defend her during the rejection ceremony, who'd looked away while Marcus stripped her of pack protection, who'd abandoned her when she needed him most. That same male had taken bullets for her daughter. "Can I see him?" she whispers. Edward is 3 rooms down, propped up in a hospital bed with machines monitoring his vitals. His legs are motionless beneath white sheets. When Arya wheels herself into his room, she's not strong enough to walk yet, needs the wheelchair Dr. Reeves insisted on. He starts crying immediately. "I'm sorry," Edward gasps, the words tumbling out like he's been holding them for months. "I'm so sorry. I should have defended you, should have believed you when you tried to explain, should have stood between you and Marcus instead of looking away like a coward." His hands shake. "I spent 4 months investigating him, gathering evidence, tracking down witnesses, trying to make up for failing you, trying to prove I wasn't completely worthless as a father." "You didn't fail me today," Arya interrupts, reaching for his hand. Her shoulder screams protest at the movement. The bullet wound is still healing, but she ignores it. "Today you were exactly the father I needed. Today you were brave." They cry together for 20 minutes, 4 months of shame and grief and complicated forgiveness pouring out in that sterile hospital room. Forgiveness isn't instant. The wounds Edward inflicted by his abandonment won't heal overnight, but it's starting. The foundation is being laid for something that might eventually become reconciliation. Over the next weeks, the kingdom heals in fragments and pieces. All 7 conspirator packs are dissolved by royal decree. Their territories are absorbed into loyal regions, their pack houses seized, their names struck from official records. It's brutal but necessary. Treason cannot be tolerated, cannot be forgiven without consequences that shake the foundation of everything. 143 wolves are arrested for involvement in the coup attempt. Some are executed, others imprisoned. A few, the ones who can prove they were coerced or threatened into participation, are exiled to neutral territories with warnings never to return. Thuron pushes through new laws with the council's support. Assault survivors cannot be rejected based on pregnancy resulting from attacks. Omegas have the right to refuse courtship without justification. Forced bonds are punishable by life imprisonment. The progressive reforms that Marcus tried to destroy are strengthened instead, carved into law where they can't be easily undone. Selene's genetic transformation is studied by every healer and scientist the kingdom can summon. They take blood samples, run genetic panels, perform tests that produce data nobody can fully explain. The consensus: Bond inheritance rewrote her DNA through magic older than recorded history. The moon goddesses will, healers conclude eventually. Some things aren't meant to be understood, only accepted. Arya begins trauma therapy with a specialist who works exclusively with assault survivors. The sessions are brutal. She has to talk about the attack directly, has to stop hiding behind euphemisms and carefully constructed walls, has to feel the pain instead of running from it. Some days she makes progress. Other days she backslides. But she keeps showing up, keeps doing the work, because her daughter deserves a mother who's healing instead of just surviving. The coronation is rescheduled for 6 weeks later, after Arya's shoulder has healed and Selene has stopped shifting every time she gets upset. This time, security is tripled. Every guest is vetted 3 times. Magical wards are reinforced by witches from 5 different covens. Nothing is left to chance. This time, there are no interruptions. Arya walks the ceremonial hall's length without stumbling. She kneels before the Council of Alphas without her body betraying her. Thuron places the Luna crown on her head, ancient gold and glowing moonstones, and she rises as queen in truth and law in every way that matters. But it's her coronation speech that changes everything. Arya stands at the podium facing 40,000 wolves packed into the ceremonial grounds, with millions more watching via broadcast around the world. She's written and rewritten this speech a dozen times. Every draft felt wrong, too political, too careful. Finally, she'd thrown them all away and decided to speak from the scarred place inside her chest where truth lives. "I was attacked," she says, her voice carrying through speakers positioned throughout the grounds. 4 months ago in Clearwater Pack Forest, I was walking home from a healing lesson when a male I'd never met dragged me into the trees. He violated me. He made me pregnant. He used a drug to block my memory so I wouldn't know who to blame or how to seek justice. Silence, absolute silence from 40,000 wolves. I ran from shame that wasn't mine. I hid from a mate bond I thought I didn't deserve. I accepted a courtship from a male who orchestrated my attack because I believed I was damaged goods who should be grateful for any alpha's attention. Her hands grip the podium. I was made to carry a child from violence. And I am still worthy, still strong, still deserving of love. She looks directly at the camera broadcasting to millions. If you are watching this and carrying shame that isn't yours, hear me. You are not damaged goods, you are survivors. Trauma doesn't diminish your worth. What happened to you doesn't define you. How you rise after defines you. Her voice breaks, but she pushes through. You deserve acceptance. You deserve healing. You deserve every happiness this world can offer, and anyone who tells you otherwise is wrong. 40,000 wolves rise to their feet simultaneously. The applause is deafening, primal, a sound that seems to shake the very ground. It continues for 5 full minutes. Arya stands at the podium crying while her kingdom, her people, tell her without words that they've heard her, that they believe her, that she belongs here. The speech trends globally within an hour. News outlets pick it up. Survivor advocacy groups share it across every platform. Within a week, it's been viewed 200 million times. Arya receives 40,000 letters from assault survivors thanking her for speaking truth, for making space for their stories, for proving that crowns can sit on scarred heads. In the Queen's suite that night, Arya holds Selene while Thuron reads some of the letters aloud. Her daughter, biological daughter now through magic nobody fully understands, sleeps peacefully in her arms. "You changed the world today," Thuron says quietly. "I just told the truth," Arya corrects. "The world changed itself." 1 year later, Arya stands in the same Silver Fang assembly hall where Marcus Ashford rejected her in front of 300 witnesses. The space looks completely different now. Walls painted warm colors instead of cold stone gray. Windows enlarged to let in natural light. The raised platform where Marcus had circled her like prey replaced with comfortable seating, arranged in welcoming clusters. It's been converted into a community center for displaced wolves from the dissolved conspirator packs. A place for healing instead of humiliation. Second chances instead of judgment. Arya is here for the dedication ceremony, holding 13-month-old Selene on her hip. Her daughter has grown impossibly fast, walking at 8 months, speaking simple words at 10 months, demonstrating intelligence that shouldn't exist in someone so young. She thankfully only shifts when extremely upset now, not daily like those first terrifying weeks after the coronation attack. Small mercies. Edward sits in his wheelchair beside Arya, positioned where he can see everything. He lives in the palace now, has for the past year. Devoted grandfather who spends hours playing with Selene, reading her stories, teaching her words in the old language. Royal advisor who counsels Thuron on pack politics with the wisdom of someone who's lived long enough to recognize his own failures. The paralysis is permanent, but he's found purpose in the wreckage. Thuron stands at the temporary podium erected for today's ceremony, addressing the 200 wolves gathered for the dedication. This hall witnessed cruelty and humiliation, he says, his voice carrying easily through the space. 1 year ago, an Omega stood in this circle while an Alpha tried to break her publicly, tried to strip her of worth, of dignity, of the future she deserved. He pauses. Today, we transform this space into a place of healing. The moon goddess teaches that we honor pain not by pretending it didn't happen, but by ensuring it serves purpose. This center will provide housing, counseling, job training, and community for those displaced by the conspiracy. It will prove that redemption is possible, that broken things can be remade. The applause is genuine, hopeful. Arya recognizes faces in the crowd, wolves who'd been members of the dissolved conspirator packs, who'd lost everything when their alphas were executed for treason. They're building new lives now. It's slow, difficult work, but possible. After the speeches, after the ribbon cutting and the tour and the official photographs, an Omega woman approaches Arya nervously. She's young, maybe 20, with dark hair and uncertain eyes. Visibly pregnant, perhaps 5 months along based on the swell beneath her dress. "Your Majesty," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. I was assaulted like you 6 months ago. My pack wanted to reject me when they found out I was pregnant. Said I'd brought shame on them, that I should have fought harder." Tears stream down her face. "But after your coronation speech, they couldn't. The new laws protected me. My alpha had to accept me back or face charges." Arya shifts Selene to her other hip and reaches for the woman's hand with her free one. "What's your name?" Lily Thornson." "Lily, you're going to be an amazing mother. I can see it in you, the strength, the determination, the love that's already fierce even though your child isn't born yet." Arya squeezes her hand gently. "And your child is blessed to have someone so strong, someone who survived and kept going. That's the greatest gift you can give them, showing them what resilience looks like." Lily cries in relief, the kind of tears that come from finally being seen, being believed, being told you're enough. Other wolves nearby witness the exchange, some crying themselves, others nodding in recognition of shared trauma. This is why Arya does this work, these moments. This proof that speaking truth creates space for others to exist in their own truth. That night in the royal suite with its 6 rooms of luxury that finally feels like home after a year of living here, Arya sits with Thuron on their enormous bed while Selene sleeps between them. Their daughter is sprawled on her back, one chubby hand fisted in Arya's shirt, the other reaching toward Thuron even in sleep. Her silver eyes are closed, dark lashes fanned against cheeks that still carry baby roundness. "Do you ever regret it?" Arya asks quietly, voicing the question that still haunts her sometimes in the dark hours before dawn. You could have had any purebred noble daughter, someone from a powerful pack with useful political connections, someone without trauma, without complications, without a history that required a complete restructuring of kingdom law to accommodate. Thuron turns to face her, careful not to disturb Selene sleeping between them. He cups Arya's face with one hand, his thumb stroking her cheekbone with familiar gentleness. "I don't want someone without trauma," he says firmly. "I want you, the Omega who fled to protect me because she thought she was unworthy, the mother who stood between assassins and her infant despite being 3 days post-birth, the queen who uses her pain to protect others, who speaks truth that changes laws and saves lives." His silver eyes hold hers with absolute certainty. "You're not damaged, Arya. You're forged, refined by fire into something stronger than you were before. That's not something to regret, it's something to honor." Selene wakes and babbles, her silver eyes, Thuron's eyes, impossible but real, glowing softly in the dimness. She reaches for both parents with chubby hands, demanding attention with the imperious attitude of someone who's been a princess since birth. She doesn't know yet that she came from violence. Doesn't understand that the DNA coursing through her veins was rewritten by magic older than history. She just knows her parents love her, choose her, would burn the world down to keep her safe. I accept both, Thuron had said that night in the assembly hall, kneeling before a pregnant Omega while 300 wolves watched in shock. Both meant Arya and Selene, the mate and the child, the queen and the heir. But it also meant so much more. Arya's trauma and her strength, her past and her future, her pain and her power, her scars and her healing, everything she was and everything she's becoming, not despite the complications because of them, not in spite of the damage, but honoring how she rose from it. Some bonds are written in blood, determined by genetics and biology and forces beyond anyone's control. Others are written in choice, forged through decisions made in impossible moments when it would be easier to walk away. The strongest bonds are both, biology transformed by choice, blood made meaningful through unwavering commitment. Arya Winters had been rejected for carrying a bastard, stripped of pack protection, humiliated in front of witnesses who expected her to disappear into obscurity. Now she's Queen Luna, her daughter is Crown Princess, and every assault survivor in the kingdom knows that trauma doesn't diminish worth, that broken things can wear crowns, that the mathematics of love don't balance on spreadsheets showing pedigree and political advantage. They balance in the quiet moments when a king kneels before an Omega and declares she's chosen. When a 3-day-old baby shifts impossibly early and calls an entire kingdom to her mother's defense. When a broken father takes silver bullets for the granddaughter he'd never met, choosing redemption over shame. When an Omega stands at a podium and speaks truth that rewrites how millions understand survival. Some debts are paid in shame overcome and love freely given. Some families are built not by blood, but by the unwavering declaration that echoes through everything they become. I accept both. And in the end, acceptance, fierce, unconditional, transformative acceptance, is the most powerful magic of all. Before you leave, I need you to understand something. If Arya's story made you feel anything, if you cried when Thuron said, I accept both, if you cheered when Selene shifted at 3 days old, if you felt seen when Arya spoke about trauma not diminishing worth, then you belong here. Subscribe right now because this is your channel. This is where we tell stories about survivors who become queens, about alphas who choose love over reputation, about families built through impossible magic and unwavering choice. I post stories like this 3 times every single week, and every single one is designed to make you feel something real. If you don't subscribe, you'll lose this in your feed. YouTube will stop showing you these stories, and you'll miss the moment when the next Omega stands up and proves that broken things can wear crowns. Don't let that happen. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell for all notifications, and comment, I accept both so I know you're here, you're part of this community, and you're ready for the next story. Because trust me, the next one is even more intense than this. Subscribe now. Let's go.